Hello everybody and welcome to this very, very special video. Today, myself and Phil, we are joined with an absolute e-commerce machine. Mr. Josh Richards, thank you for coming on.
Amazing, thank you for having me.
So Josh is working alongside certain e-commerce brands doing absolutely astronomical numbers, working with brands anywhere from about 100K per month all the way to $1 million a month in e-commerce revenue, primarily with brands in the US. And today we're going to be discussing some of the secrets and strategies that Josh uses and all of our Wise Gentlemen team members on how to scale to 6 or even 7 figures per month. And most importantly, how you can apply this to your business. So before we jump into strategies, please could you just give a little introduction to yourself, who you are, how long you've been in e-commerce, and just a brief part of your background.
Perfect. Yeah, so first of all, guys, thank you for having me here and thank you for having me on the platform. Really looking forward to this. So I got started much like anybody else did, come from an unskilled background. So I wanted to learn something and I was always interested in advertising marketing. I worked in radio advertising before and social media was really on the rise. So I was young enough but also old enough to realize that something was about to change in marketing. And if I took advantage of this now, then I could essentially get a load of fruits from it.
Yeah.
So I started with drop shipping. That was the first place that I went to. Had some experience with Amazon FBA as well, but drop shipping was where I saw some real success and proved to myself, actually, I can do this. And some of those stores I'd probably look back on now and cringe, but it was where it all started. And eventually I started working with other brands who already had an established product. They had some stock. And just through conversation and what I was doing, they were like, well, can you run some ads for myself? So over the past 8 years now, I have studied e-commerce as a whole, advertising, the entire funnel from the front-facing cold ad to getting somebody to the website, to getting them to convert post-purchase, and also omni-channel marketing, which we're all going to get into in this conversation. But to then take something like a product or a website that has potential, I've now been able to work with brands just doing astronomical numbers. And it's been a real journey, a tough one, a constant learning journey, but it's been absolutely amazing. So looking forward to getting into this today.
Amazing. And so you said you got started 8 years ago in e-com and drop shipping specifically.
Yes.
Curious to know, when was your first breakthrough in e-commerce?
About 3 months in. And,
wow, that's early. I like that.
I'll give away the product because I don't think it's the product that it used to be. It was like a blanket that was in the shape of a mermaid. So women would put it on and it was almost like they had turned into a mermaid, but it was a blanket. That was my first product. Yeah. And I will never forget, we were talking about this earlier, but that first sale that came through, it just blew my mind. And that was a brand that I was able to take to over 30K a month just off the bat. And once I did that, I was like, I need to become a complete master at this.
Wow. Yeah. And so how long after you started e-commerce did you get your first sale?
Would have been within 2.5 months.
I love that. Yeah. Absolutely. And did you have any mentorship or guidance when you first started 8 years ago, or was it completely off your own back?
YouTube.
Love that.
YouTube. I was working at the time as well. This is before I fully deep dived into entrepreneurship, but all of my paycheck I was spending either on courses or resources online. Yeah. And hardly having enough fuel to put in the car, to be completely honest.
When you first started?
Because once I got that first sale, I was like, if I can get 1, I can get 10. If I can get 10, I can get 100. If I can get 100, I can get 1,000, right?
Absolutely.
So I knew from then on, it was like, this is on. So yeah, I spent pretty much all of my resources early on courses and learning.
Wow. And have you had mentors along the way? Obviously, I know you joined our private network and he's a very, very high level member within our team. And I know how much that's affected all of our abilities to grow and scale to amazing numbers and life-changing numbers. At what stage did you actually start investing into courses, or have you had a mentor, for example?
I haven't had any kind of formal mentorship, except joining the community. And fortunately, I have a kind of mentor figure who he owns a brand himself. Not going to go too much into the brand, but multi-millions, been doing multi-millions for years. And he's been able to offer me some awesome direction as a business owner, founder, but from the advertising side, the CRO side, product selection side, I don't think there's a video on YouTube that I haven't watched going back years on years. It's nice to be in the position to make some of these videos now that we have the results. But yeah, a lot of YouTube course content, but never formally hired a mentor. But it's definitely something that I think if you do it, it's going to completely fast track you. It's something that I wish that I'd done back then. But yeah, spent most of my time courses, YouTube. But yeah.
Amazing. And obviously, because you're working with such high-level e-commerce businesses, real brands, real businesses generating very, very good numbers, you see, the big businesses, the 7, 8-figure businesses, and you obviously, within our team, you also see some of the more new e-commerce businesses, whether they're 5, 10, 20, 30, 40K a month. What do you see if you could pinpoint one reason for brands who are stuck at 10 to 50K a month, or brands, I'll repeat my question. What do you see as the biggest difference between brands who are stuck at 10 to 50K per month in e-commerce revenue versus the brands that have kind of surpassed that point, had that breakthrough, and kind of exceeded that 100K a month mark?
Okay, great question. So what I'm about to say, we need to break down.
Okay.
Because I would say if you are at the point where you're doing 10,000 a month, you need to look at your overall return on ad spend. Now, do not take what I just said and completely run with that. There is areas in this video that we're going to break down together and go through loads of little things that you can do to make sure that you're making really as much money as possible. But what I would initially do is look at that return on ad spend. So let's say, hypothetical here, 10K a month at a 2.7 return on ad spend, right? You're profitable, you're healthy, you're making some money, and you're able to then reinvest into stock or branding, photography, whatever it is, creative, whatever you're doing. I know off the top of my head that with a platform like Facebook, you can scale that 20%, and you'll see a slight dip in return on ad spend. But the thing that I would do initially is I would take that scenario and I wouldn't change anything to do with the ads. I wouldn't even spend any more on ads. But what I would do is I would start to try and get 13K a month out of that ad spend. Because whatever you're doing fundamentally, it's like a house that is built on the sand. It will not scale. You can't build a skyscraper with a house built on the sand. So what I do with every single client, and this is what most brands should be doing, is building solid foundations.
Yes.
Now we're going to break down what solid foundations look like in this, but what we're going to initially look at is, first of all, product. So the biggest variable, the biggest thing that can affect your results is the product. It's not going to be the creative, it's not going to be the ad strategy, it's not going to be any of that. If the product is not good enough, it is simply not good enough, and you're better off switching it out. But what I would look for in that product is, does it have a high perceived value? Does it solve a problem? And does it make someone's life more easier? If you're already doing 10K a month in sales, it probably does one of those things, right? So now what I would look at once you have that proven concept, because if you're doing 10K a month, you have a proven concept, is I would look at A/B testing the price. That's the first place that you should go to A/B test. Then after that, you should be split testing an offer. We actually went through this in another video, but I was saying to Phil and Elliot, one of the best things that you can do is raise your AOV. So once you've gone ahead and raised your AOV, then you can afford to spend more on advertising. So if you have a product that doesn't have great margins, you can't sell it for much. I'm sorry, there's no magic wand that you can wave over that to scale it. But if you have relatively good margins, you're seeing potential with it, and then you put in the work to raise the AOV and the conversion rate, you're going to be able to scale massively, because essentially you're just going to get a better return on ad spend without touching your ads.
Yeah.
So this whole portion of the conversation, I really just want to talk about the foundation side, not the ad side, and then we'll have like a conversation about the ad side. So first thing is product. You've already ticked that off when you're at that point. Second thing is price. Then the third thing is making people feel really stupid for not spending more money. So here's a quick scenario. $24.99 for a product plus $2.99 shipping.
Yeah.
You set the shipping threshold to $34.99, so they have to buy 2 to then get the free shipping.
Yeah.
But what you do on top of that is you now set up an offer for $59.99 for 3 of them. So now people are feeling really stupid for not spending more, because they're going to get free shipping, and also they're going to get reduced product price per individual one. So that doesn't mean that every single customer that comes through the store is now going to jump up to a 50, 55, whatever it is, price tag. It just means that for every 1 in 4 that comes through and buys the product, your AOV is going to be lifted. So we've just spoke about solid foundations. When you have a product that maybe is, $24.99 plus shipping, whatever that offer is, once you go ahead and make sure that for every 1 in 4, 1 in 5, somebody is being upsold, now your AOV goes from 27 to 32.
Yeah.
And it's those little things that you can do. We'll get into the things after that, but initially product, price, and then people essentially feeling stupid for not spending more. If you can do those 3 things, you can start to scale already. Yeah. But then what I would do is post-purchase upsales.
Yes.
You've already acquired, so your cost per acquisition is £10. You've already paid to get that customer to give you money. Why not, if you have good enough margins, which, if you don't, you should probably revisit the product. But you should then offer a post-purchase discount, a timer with 3 minutes on, to just go ahead and say, hey, thank you for purchasing. We want to give you this product at a discount to say thank you. Not every single person is going to purchase that. Most people will decline it. It's just a numbers game. But when you then get the odd person that goes through and is upsold, okay, now the AOV isn't 32, it's 34 now. So before we're doing anything on the ads optimization side, just by taking those steps, we've now raised the AOV. Now, of course, you want to add in your email marketing, make sure that's optimized, and you want to make sure that everything on your store, and we can go through some real basic conversion rate stuff in a second, is in line. But the main thing you should do is focus on the business, not on the ads.
Absolutely.
Forget anything to do with the ads for a second, because we're going to work on the business, and we're going to get better return on ad spend without doing anything with the ads.
Yeah.
Now, when we come to the foundation side, we talk about things that you can do with conversion rate. You've got to give people a reason to purchase now. And by doing that, you're going to increase your conversion rate. So an essential thing I would say, once you've got all that in line, just create a bit of scarcity.
Yes.
If you're seeing some sales come in and you only have a low amount of stock, you can say, hey, 1 or more items that is currently in the cart is low on stock, get yours now. Now, once you've added all of these things together, obviously make sure that your website looks good as well. Don't put up a half-assed website. Get some decent photography taken. But the most amazing thing about what we do is you can make some really good money without having to spend a crazy amount on brand. Having pop-up events, having all of these things that cost some brands a crazy amount. You can just go ahead with the fundamentals that we've just spoke about and start to scale. So we're talking about, how do you go ahead and scale? How do you reach these astronomical numbers? First of all, you put the work in when it comes to the foundations.
Absolutely. And then very important to emphasize how important average order value is.
Yes.
If there's one unit or metric that's the most important for e-commerce brands, it's average order value. When you're running paid advertising, as you know, you are competing in an auction place. When you are running ads, you are competing in an auction place and you are bidding against all the other brands to appear on the feed or the story or on a certain placement within the advertising platform.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to compete in this bidding system, you have to spend essentially more than other advertisers or more than your competitors, and you have to win the bidding system, okay? Now, the brands that can spend the most to actually acquire customers can spend the most on advertising. They're the ones that win the game.
Yeah, they will always win.
They will always win. So you need to focus on building a business and focusing on the actual numbers behind your business, okay? So optimizing your average order value. If your brand has a £35 average order value and another brand has a £25 average order value, you can spend indirectly £10 more than your competitors to acquire one new customer. Well, with that, you can now spend more than them on ads, and therefore you win the bidding system. So then Meta will actually prioritize your ads over other advertisers, okay? And that's how you win the game. So absolutely, in agreement, spend more than your competitors, spend more than competitors to make customers.
100%.
When it comes to conversion rates, obviously you touched upon that. Are there any key principles that you've applied to different brands from a conversion rate perspective that really, really nailed a big impact on conversion rate or average order value increase?
Yes. So I would say the biggest thing by far, and this is something that is actually tough for new brands, a bit of work will get this, testimonials.
Yeah.
Everything, you should give people absolutely no doubt in their mind that they should purchase with you. You should have so many testimonials that people get bored of scrolling through your testimonials. Not only this, when you get comments on Facebook ads, screenshot those comments on Facebook ads that are completely organic, they're from real people that have purchased from you, and just put that below your add to cart.
Yeah.
Things that you can do, people will talk about certain colors. It's not going to make that much of a difference. If you can get people ranting and raving about your product, let's say you're starting the brand, you believe in it, you believe the product's good, ask your family members, ask your friends, take a selfie with the product. If you have 12, 20 people just doing that and they put in their opinion, you can put that on the website, you're going to have no problem with your conversion rate. Of course, there are little things you can do to slowly move the needle. Maybe it's a product that is something that people want really quickly. It's something that you don't have multiple variants of. Maybe you send them straight to checkout when they click add to cart because of this. There's little things that you can do like that. But when people talk about, you want to change your add to cart color to this, or you want to do that, yes, all of these things are important. But if I were to say anything, offer is huge for conversion rate optimization, and a lot of people don't talk about offer, they just talk about it as business fundamentals. That is something that massively affects conversion rate. And reviews. Get people so sick of scrolling through reviews, have some organic Facebook reviews below everything, and you'll have no issues. Everything from there on is tweaking to make little changes, which, as I said, are important. But if we're talking, how do we kind of get over the line and just make sure that we're in a good spot? That's exactly what you want to do.
And I think a lot of new e-commerce brand owners and even established brand owners, when it comes to reviews and testimonials, the reviews on their store are actually very, very generic and very, very short. And for the viewers, the more specific that you can make reviews as to their actual experience, as to why they purchased the product, why they bought from this brand over a competitor brand, and actually talking about who they are and why they purchased the product, so the reviews actually resonate with the other viewers on the website, makes a tremendous difference. So you don't want reviews which are just like, I love this product, or it arrived in 3 days. You want to actually give some context as to why they purchased the product. The more specific that you can be with reviews, the better. And to add on to that point, rather than just having image-based reviews, Facebook reviews, like you just mentioned, screenshots, they're unbelievable. And also picture-based reviews are fantastic. The more you can have picture-based reviews where you're showcasing your target audience within those reviews. So when you have your target audience visit the website, they're maybe trying to learn more about the product, who the customers are, they'll resonate with the people in the picture-based reviews. They can see they're genuine, and it can see that they're just like them. You know, the people who have bought the product previously are just like them. They'll resonate with them, and they'll believe, and they'll want to build that desire from that reviews. So it's absolutely massive.
Yeah, and I think as well, something that's really interesting that you just touched on there was the fact that, you know, trust is such a huge problem these days.
Yes.
And if you can get around that with images, those Facebook reviews, you are going to clear up so many potential issues, you know, with your customer not converting. So yeah, to summarize it, your offer is going to make a huge difference. Something that they can't get somewhere else. For example, Amazon will charge a price for a product. That's the price. They don't do multiple discounts. They don't do any post-purchase discounts that encourage people to buy more. They're very strict and rigid as a platform, and these are the people that you're up against. If you can get the offer right and you can get all of those reviews, so many reviews in that people just go, okay, I've seen enough now, check out, then that's amazing. And another thing, you know, we're talking about drop shipping. Once you get to a certain point with drop shipping, let's say you're doing 50,000 a month, you might want to start, and I would advise to start bringing that stock in-house or to a 3PL in the States. Now you might have to slow down temporarily, or maybe you can carry on drop shipping, but at that point, I would advise you should at least look into getting that product to a 3PL. The reason for it is speed. If you can guarantee next day delivery, or you can guarantee that something is going to be picked the same day and it's going to be dispatched the same day, you're going to have no issues there either as well. So it's all of these little things, and I think that's why drop shipping is so good, because if you can prove a product with the conditions that it's got right now, you are then able to brand that, give super fast shipping times. You're going to see your conversion rates and the foundations of the business become completely solid. And before you know it, you'll be scaling without even spending any more on ads.
Absolutely.
So Josh, now that you've got a store with really solid foundations, you're seeing a healthy return on ad spend, what's kind of your process? Is it in order to scale to these higher numbers, what exactly are you doing?
Okay, so what you need to understand, first of all, and I know that you guys understand this, but for everybody watching, you need a higher return on ad spend to scale. Mm-hmm. So for example, if something is at a 5x, I know that I can scale that like crazy and still be profitable. If something's at a 2.5 and somebody wants to scale by 50%, that's kind of sketchy territory. So now that we built those solid foundations, you're seeing better return on ad spend out of your advertising by not doing anything to the ads. Mm-hmm. The first thing I'd do is use your primary driver, which is Facebook. I would imagine that most brands start, and I know that you guys teach, to start on Facebook, which is the perfect place to start. I would then implement a small scaling strategy every 3 to 5 days. So what I would do is, let's just take that example that we went through. You're at 2.7, and through all the changes that we just spoke about, that irresistible offer, getting faster shipping times, and going ahead and adding all those reviews, now you are able to, with post-purchase upsells, you're getting more return on ad spend. What I would do now is 20%. Now, for the first 48 hours, you're going to be hitting cold customers that are seeing you for the first time. Yes, we're going to add a sense of urgency to the website that they should check out now. So that's going to help us scale as well, because that first 48 hours, you're hitting new people. And then after those 48 hours, you're starting to retarget those new people. So what I would do is I would just add 20% budget, leave it for 3 to 5 days. For the first 48 hours, I'd just maybe even just close down your laptop and just let it spend. But on the 3rd to 5th day, start to look at the results, and you should be able to potentially have a slight drop in return on ad spend, but you're doing more volume. Now, that's why it's so important what we just spoke about, because you now have return on ad spend to drop to scale. That's the whole process of building those solid foundations. And once you've done that, I would recommend every week that you can, I would then increase the budget again by 20%. What it's currently at, I would increase it by 20%. Then on the third and fifth day, check your results. Now, if you get to, for example, the third week in and the results start to slow down, you're seeing that return on ad spend drop a bit too far, I would then keep that running at the level it is, because the longer the ads learn for, the better they're going to be at optimizing for purchases. But you are going to get to a point with your Facebook ads that you're not going to be able to spend a crazy amount more on those Facebook ads without implementing omni-channel marketing. So the first place I would go to after scaling Facebook to the point where you're doing good volume, but that return on ad spend is at a point where you probably don't want to spend 20% more, because you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm back at 2.7, but the good thing is I'm doing 30K a month now. So I'm able to look at this and say, okay, cool, we've got something rocking here. And I guess it's in the stages of seriously rocking, right? Instead of at that 10K a month. What I would do is I would bring somebody in on the Google side, because with Facebook, you're going to have a load of first-time traffic, a load of clicks to your website that just aren't being picked up by Google, or some sort of what I would say is hardcore retargeting. On Facebook, you can retarget, that's great, but you want to make sure that when they click on YouTube, they're being hit with you. When they go on any websites that use third-party Google advertising, they're being hit with you. They're getting hit with shopping ads. Once you essentially scale on Facebook and you're spending that much on cold traffic and converting it, Google is like taking all of that and putting it on steroids. So once you use Google, you're making sure that Google is working in conjunction with Facebook. Now, there are other platforms you can use like TikTok, Snapchat, but those two are the real pillars to scale you month on month. Yeah. If you can get those two to work in conjunction with each other, and when I say in conjunction, I mean first click Facebook. Let's say your return on ad spend on Facebook for first click, if you're using a platform like Triple Whale, for example, is 1.7. That might sound pretty bad right off the bat, but the thing is, that first click, maybe on average you're getting 3 or 4 clicks from one person before they purchase. So if you have a first click return on ad spend, and on the back end on Google, you're getting last clicks being there. For example, they're clicking on Facebook because you're getting a load of cold traffic, and now they're getting you on YouTube, they're getting you on all these apps that use Google advertising, then they're eventually purchasing through Google. Those two together, you can now scale by 20% together each time. Now, Google is a beast that I would recommend hiring an expert for, and if you're already doing these numbers on Facebook, those types of people, if you get the right Google advertiser that knows what he's doing, he's going to pay for himself. That is the quickest way to take what we were just talking about all the way up to 50,000 a month, 45,000 a month and beyond. Because if you're doing something like 30,000 a month on just Facebook, you should be using Facebook to add at least 20K to that 30K. Now, Facebook and Google, their relationship really is more of a 40-60 relationship, where 40% of that traffic will be Google, and 60% of that traffic will be Facebook. But when they work in conjunction together, now you're not just scaling by 20% on Facebook, you're scaling by 20% on both. And Google is a learning platform that has an actual deeper learning machine than Facebook. So the longer you run Google ads, the better results you're going to see. I've seen brands that will get to 30,000 a month, and then they'll add an extra 10K by just leaving their ads run another month or two whilst running Google ads. Because Google will be one of those platforms that on Facebook, maybe you're doing 2.5, 2.7, that kind of return on ad spend. Google can be popping up with a 6x. So Google is really the anchor of your business that is super profitable because it retargets so aggressively. This in conjunction with your email marketing, all of the things that you can do on, for example, Instagram, your stories, people that are following you, and just all of these ways you can follow up with your customer are super important. they need to be done, especially post-purchase stuff and abandoned carts. All of those things need to be done. But those two pillars, once you get them working together and you get them spending, especially on Google, just keep spending. If you're positive and you're profitable, just keep spending and your return on ad spend will over time go up. So from an advertising perspective, it's about bringing other channels in and making sure that each channel works off each other. So Facebook, you have a lot of cold traffic. Yeah. You can't just scale with cold traffic. You need people being retargeted all the time. Yes, they're going to be retargeted slightly with Facebook, but with Google is going to be doing that hardcore retargeting on all of the Google-based platforms that is going to allow you to scale, because now you have something that's mid-range return on ad spend, that's your main driver, and then you have something that's sweeping in, taking all of that low-hanging fruit and giving you super high return on ad spend there. The combination of the two is how you start to really scale.
Absolutely. And we teach this to mentees all the time. It's your advertising platforms and your marketing channels, they all work together as an ecosystem.
Yeah.
You don't just want to rely on Meta. You don't just want to rely on Google or having a high branded website or your email marketing. Build everything out as an ecosystem where, your Facebook ads complement your Google. Your Google complements your email marketing, which complements your website. The branding is aligned, how you speak to your target audience is aligned, the offer is aligned. You're continually working on average order value, as you pointed out earlier, retargeting people post-purchase through email marketing. Everything works as an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's how you scale highly profitably, but also in a way that's sustainable as well.
Yeah.
Because you can do 100, 150K a month with just cold on Facebook. Right?
Yes, yeah.
And Advantage Plus, but the sustainability of that with ad fatigue comes into play. If you don't have the other platforms working alongside it, it's not going to be sustainable.
No, and for those people that have seen, for example, 50,000 a month just through Facebook without really implementing any of the things that we have spoken about, I mean, if you put Google next to that, you could be making an extra 40, 50K a month for minimal work. And what it is, it's interesting you said this about email. It's a compounding effect. And that's why brand is so important, because some brands that I know with, they'll run TikTok ads unprofitably because they know that Google is going to be picking up a load of that traffic. TikTok is very, very cheap traffic. It's not the best converting. TikTok Shop is a whole other conversation. But some brands I know will literally send cold traffic unprofitably from TikTok because they know overall it'd be more profitable on the Google side, and it balances itself out. With the emails that you're talking about, that is something that you build. You're building an asset. Brands that have over 100,000 people on their email list can make money within 10 minutes of just, okay, right, we want to do a new product launch. Okay, well, it would help if we had some more cash flow. Great, let's do a little discount on the emails. Takes 10 minutes, you built an asset, and that's how I look at Google. Google is not a fast reacting platform. We all know that you can set up a Facebook ad and have a purchase that evening.
Yeah.
Google is a slower platform, and email is exactly the same. But over time, these things compound. It's why a lot of brands that see success long term, they have these assets. They have a huge amount of cold traffic, maybe not even right now, but over time from Facebook, that's being seeped up on Google, and there's a high return on ad spend coming out of Google. The two together work very well. And not just that, you have 10,000, 100,000 people on an email list that you know are going to come back to your store because they've already purchased from you or shown high intent.
Yeah. And one of the major benefits, not only to have retargeting on platforms like Google and have multiple channels working alongside each other as an ecosystem, it's the fact that also you're not entirely reliant on one platform as well.
Yeah.
So even if you're wildly profitable with just Meta, we do see it all the time with members and mentee stores within our team. But what happens if an ad account gets banned? Or what happens if one of your ads get rejected halfway through and that was your highly profitable ad? You're entirely reliant on that one platform or on that one ad. Diversification.
Yeah,
right?
And, I mean, look what happened with TikTok Shop recently in the States. Thankfully, that's come back around. There's a 90-day extension. Maybe if you're watching this in the future, I don't know what's happened, but there were business owners on there that were about to lose everything.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, well, you know, maybe this is a learning lesson, because you need to be omnipresent, and Facebook is the first place to start. I would say that, because if you can convert with cold traffic, you're gold. Yeah. If you are constantly trying to convert on the retargeting side, it's probably time to switch out the product. But the best thing about cold traffic is that you can sustainably scale. And I think that one of the things that's interesting that we've talked about, we've taken a very hypothetical, small example here. I know that you guys have some mentees doing crazy numbers through Facebook and that are now just implementing Google.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much numbers-wise you can just do on Facebook.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. So when you add all of these things that we've spoke about, and I think anybody that's watching this, go through and watch it again and take notes of the foundation building stuff initially. If you are in this kind of position, take notes of every single thing that we've gone through on the foundations to make as much money as you can from your store on the cold side. Then do what we've just spoke about on the ad side, because some brands out there doing 100,000 a month just through Facebook, they don't even know that they have so much low-hanging fruit. They don't know that if they up their average order value, then they'd be making an extra 15, 20K a month just from AOV. They don't know that post-purchase, they can add upsells. All of these things, once you have a proven concept, which in my opinion is the hardest thing, you've got over the hurdle now, make the most of it.
Absolutely. And leaning into the point earlier about how your goal is to spend more than other advertisers to acquire a new customer, it's very important to understand that focusing on getting the second sale out of a customer is one of the most important things that you can do and one of the highest ROI actions.
Yeah.
Every new business, or every business, even if you're doing 100K a month, they're entirely focused on just getting new customers every single day. But if you can shift your mindset from getting new customers, yes, because that's very, very important, but getting new customers and getting them by a second time, that second purchase is where the big money is made. You don't need to even think about 3, 4, 5, 6 purchases from customers. That will come. But if people just focus on getting the second sale out of every single customer, they can dramatically grow their profitability. Yeah. Because you are not reliant on new customer acquisition. Every single second purchase or repeat purchase that you get is completely free because they've already paid for that customer. And the big money in e-commerce in 2025 and beyond this is made on building brands that are not entirely reliant on the customer acquisition, but on repeat purchases, and building a sustainable business where the product is so good, delivers so much value to the customers that they come back.
Yeah, and adding them to something like a VIP list.
Yes.
You know, I see a lot of brands, hey, sign up to our email list. That's weak. Sign up to our VIP access, our community, and just before we wrap this up, I want to kind of spill what I think is going to be the next thing that you can incorporate into brands that nobody is talking about right now.
So it's very important for people to understand. Repeat customers, 2025 and beyond. Yes, it's very, very important to have a constant stream of customer acquisition because your business is reliant on customer acquisition. Every business is. But building a brand and a product so valuable that you can rely on the second sale. And every second purchase that you get or every repeat purchase that you get, you don't need to pay for that customer because they're already a customer. You've already paid for them. Every customer you acquire, you're not acquiring a customer. No, you're not acquiring a sale. You're acquiring a customer.
Yeah.
How much money you make from that customer is entirely your choice.
Yeah, and that's why things like VIP, email communities, or advertising on your website saying, hey, instead of saying join our newsletter, join our VIP club where you get exclusive discounts. Making customers feel super special to get that second purchase out of them is one of the most profitable things you can do. I think you're completely right there.
Yeah. And so you're a brand. You have Facebook, profitable. You've focused on a lot of the fundamentals of the business itself. You've improved your average order value. You've got a steady stream of repeat customers coming in. You've got urgency on the website. You've got all those foundations that we talked about in place and optimized. And you've got platforms like Facebook and Google working alongside each other. You're making very, very good money. What are some certain strategies that you apply to businesses who are doing multiple six figures per month, say $500,000 a month or $1 million a month, that get them to that point rather than just, chilling at 100 or 200K a month? What strategies can people implement to scale to the big numbers?
So first thing I'll do, it really comes down to what we've just said. It comes down to return on ad spend and being able to spend more. So let's take, for example, you own a company that does, let's just take a quick example, a underwear company, right? And you sell boxes or whatever it is. If you're seeing success and you have some sort of hero product that is pulling in all the sales, the first thing that you can do once you're past that 100, 150, whatever it looks like, that point where you go, okay, we need to now move the needle further to be able to spend more, because you're always going to be battling against that return on ad spend. You can't always carry on scaling on Google, on Facebook, without making changes to that foundation constantly. So everything that we've just spoke about initially is super important, but once we're talking past that kind of next bridge that you need to pass, which you've just spoke about there, whatever that looks for somebody, right? It could be 50K a month, it could be 100K a month. That point where you go, okay, I've just implemented everything Josh has spoken about. We've got better return on ad spend. We've been able to scale a little, but now we're stuck again. That is the point where you need to really take a look at your hero product and you need to have offerings around it.
Yes.
So expanding your brand, your product line, and then becoming essentially a retailer is going to add a crazy amount of return on ad spend, because maybe you have some underwear that people really like, it's what you consider a hot product, right? Something that's selling really well. But the only thing that you can do to upsell is volume, right? So you're giving discount for 3, you're seeing some success with that, the return on ad spend goes up. What I would now do is take that product, create iterations of it, and create 9 different boxes on top of that. So now you have 10. You can also apply the same to socks. Now you can apply it to other clothing as well. Become a retailer and expand your product line slowly but surely. And the best way to do this, and this is what winds me up about brand owners, we're gonna go on a bit of a rant here, but a lot of brand owners forget to ask their audience.
Yes.
A lot of the clients I work with will say, okay, Josh, we're stuck at 200K a month. And I'll say, great, you're going to now create some new product. Oh, well, I was thinking that we should do, I don't care. I literally do not care what you think that you should do. Send a survey.
Yeah.
And having that customer feedback, your customers are the easiest way to grow your brand. You're always going to get stuck at these hurdles. And I think to get to the astronomical numbers that I work with and brands that are able to spend a crazy amount of money, simply put, it is doing everything to get solid foundations with that hero product. It's using Facebook and Google in conjunction to scale as much as possible, and then leave your ad spend run, especially on the Google side. You're going to see more rewards over time. And then once you get together and say, okay, cool, we've scaled, but again, we're stuck and we can't spend any more, because the moment we spend more, we're going to be potentially break even. You now need to look at that hero product, build out products around it. You'll see your return on ad spend go through the roof, because now people are incentivized to kind of spend more. You can say to them, instead of volume discounts with one product, now you run the same offer, but you have all of these different products that people can add together, build bundles, do all of these things, or just buy them individually. It's like owning a shop and paying rent, because let's be honest, with ad spend, you're paying rent to be online. That's essentially what you're doing. But when someone comes into the shop, you're only selling water bottles. Oh, well, I want Coca-Cola. Oh, yeah, we don't have it. That person's going to walk out. So that kind of hero product that you have to attract somebody to the store, let's say the hero product is the water bottle. right? You could then utilize a load of products around that will complement the product, and people will go into that shop and pick up. It's exactly like real life commerce. If you don't have a huge selection of products, you're never going to hit those mega numbers. But what I wouldn't do is go ahead and get those huge selections of products without doing everything we just spoke about.
Yes.
Incredible.
And I think very important for brand owners to understand and e-commerce entrepreneurs to understand. Speaking to your customers is very, very important.
That's the most important.
And how can you go the extra mile? How can brand owners go the extra mile? Instead of just a survey, which is very important, we always recommend members and wise gentlemen mentees as a team to actually call customers up and ask directly for feedback. How can we improve our business? Why did they buy from us over a competitor? What actually motivated them to place a purchase?
Yeah.
Asking them questions about how they can improve their businesses. Very, very important. And then actually actioning that. And you might find you call some customers up. You thought that consumers were buying a product because it solved this pain point. But in reality, it was a completely different pain point that your product solved, and that was the reason they bought the product. So you can go and create ad creatives that, from a brand new marketing angle, position to a completely different pain point or a completely different target audience, and scale the brand through that route as well. Yeah. Or you could ask them, all right, you bought this product. Is there any other products that we could add to our collection that you would have purchased or that you would like to purchase from us if we offered it?
Just speaking to those customers is the most important thing. And also asking people, why didn't they buy? That's the most powerful thing you can do on surveys. I get my clients to send out a load of different questions. And the best way to get somebody to fill out a survey is, hey, we'll send one of you or three of you a bundle for free. We're going to draw them from a hat. So that people go, oh, I can win something for free. Oh, I just have to give some quick feedback on this brand that I either bought from or I'm thinking to buy from.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Most brand owners, and this is where you have to remove a level of ego, they think that they can come up with everything themselves. But it's just data. Like you were saying, there might be a pain point that you had no clue that somebody bought the product for. You could have said, oh, these boxers stop rashes. Well, actually, people were buying them because they wanted to buy them for their boyfriend because they were funny.
Yeah.
Okay, now your marketing angle is, oh, actually, this is the greatest gift that you can get this Valentine's for your boyfriend. And you only target women. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I had no clue that this was something that I can market from. I know that's a hypothetical, but once you send surveys, you take surveys from your customers, the amount that you're going to be able to grow and the amount that you will grow by adding more product to your business is just kind of the sky's the limit territory then.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Josh.
I think it's very important for people to understand the reason that it's important to speak to customers and get real data as to why people purchase the products, what products that they can actually introduce into the brand. It's because most brand owners are making their decisions for marketing or for new products to launch based on theoretical assumption. They're assuming that this product is going to sell well, so we'll add it to the store. They're assuming that this is the reason why customers are buying products, so let's make an ad targeting this pain point or this target audience. But when you switch from theoretical assumption to data-driven decisions provided to you by real customers who have actually spent money with you, your business will completely transform. And then it's about taking that data, real life data, and applying it to your business as fast as humanly possible. And then with that data, analyzing the data again, and then adjusting accordingly. You keep taking action, you analyze real life data, you adjust, and you do so until you keep on scaling, whilst focusing on the foundations of the business, the numbers behind the business, the average order values, the lifetime values, going omni-channel. And if you can do that, it's exactly how you can get to 500K a month and far beyond that.
And I think as well, an interesting point that you made there is, and I see this with brand owners, and we've all been guilty of it in the past, is brand owners just having this idea that because this is what they created, this is exactly, they know the next steps.
Problem is that people make their decisions based on theoretical assumption rather than real life practical data from their actual customers.
Yes. And I think as a business owner, the best thing you can do, completely remove your ego and look at the data. Some business owners will say, oh, well, my product should be this price. Well, the market doesn't say that.
Yeah.
The data says that actually you're seeing more conversions at this price and actually you're more profitable. And, you know, when it comes to anything on the website, the ads, I don't want it to look this way. I want this to be that way. No one cares what you want.
No.
The market cares what you want, and the market will give you what you deserve. That is the most important thing in the whole of the e-commerce game. The market will give you exactly what you deserve. And you can take that as a good thing, or you can take it like we do as an absolutely amazing thing.
Wow.
Thank you so much. You're a legend.
That's all right. It's all right. Thank you for having me on, lads.
Thank you, pleasure.
So we did just end the podcast, but we were just having a continued discussion about e-commerce and about how to scale. And Josh came up with some very, very secret sauce that we've actually been discussing internally within our team recently. He brought it up. So 2025, Josh, what is the sauce? What
the sauce that nobody else is doing right now? So, okay, community building. Yeah. So, okay, let's take a brand that does, for example, hiking equipment. You can create an email list. You could have a Facebook group. You can do all of these things to garner some form of community, right? But if you are to take your platform, your website, and actually invite people to a community where your brand stops being a product, yes, you're doing that on the front end, but you're then having a community where people can share their thoughts, they can talk, they can post something to do with the brand. For example, if you are selling cigar equipment, you could have a community of people that are all into the same thing, that now when they think about cigars and they're in these chats together, maybe they're on something like Discord or a private community like that, maybe you host it on School, any two of those platforms are the ones that I would go for. The moment that they think of that niche, of that hobby that they're clearly interested in because they've joined a private community, you are then going to be top of mind. Now, not only is this a place that people can talk about these hobbies or whatever it is, whatever niche it is or vertical you're in that the product serves, but you can have this as an exclusive place for members who have purchased the product. So what are you going to do in there? For example, you could drop Black Friday 24 hours before you go ahead and drop it live. There needs to be huge incentive to join this community. But when you build an asset like this, it's like an email list that's hypercharged, right? So if you go in there and there's people interacting with each one and another, and you have moderators making sure that everything's kept in clean shape, this is another thing that you can not only harness to make cash, but you can sell as an asset. So not only when you potentially come to exit a brand, can you say, we've done multi-millions in sales and we have an email list, because email lists are huge money. You can then say, oh, and we also have a private community as well of over 30,000 people that are into hiking and they're actively talking every day. You then stand out as a brand and you're going that extra mile. I think community-based brands are going to do ridiculous things, and I think it's the next move to get somebody involved with your brand that's talking with people within the same niche, having conversations, posting photos. If you are somebody that sells fishing products, the communities for fresh fishing are insane. Why not have your own community post-purchase that somebody can join, and they spend all day talking about fishing in there, and it's somewhere that they can connect with other people that are into hiking, fishing, skincare, women's makeup, all of these things. If you host communities based off these things, not only are they going to be more likely to purchase from you, you have a place that you can send announcements, so you can send texts essentially directly to people's phones on Discord, on School. You are going to be integrated into that person's life so much further than you would be if you're just a website and an email list. So don't go ahead and create your community if you haven't done everything that we've spoke about previously. But that is where I see brands going in 2025 and more 2026.
Absolutely. And I think it's very, very important to understand that for people who aren't aware, e-commerce, yes, is brilliant cash flow business. It's a brilliant profit-based business. But not only is the big money made in the cash flow, it's also made in the exit of businesses.
Oh, 100%.
The more you can prime your business for sale and for exit, the far better you'll be in the long run. And whenever you start an e-commerce business, if you start it in the mind frame of, I'm building this business to sell, so I'm going to systemize the business, I'm going to over time build a team, over time build a community, and really find out about your customers, you're going to be much more primed for a sell. And that's where the real life-changing money is, and the real big money.
100%, 100%. So it's just adding another asset.
Yeah.
Not only for that exit, but not only for the exit, but for the meantime. But it's just something that's awesome for your purchasers, right?
Yeah.
It's just somewhere that they can go, they can be part of the community. And in this day and age, I know this is slightly outside of the whole commerce space, but people are looking for community more than ever. So why not, as a brand owner, somebody that sells a product that gives people some sort of utility for whatever their hobby is or whatever they're using this for, why not give them the space to talk to other people?
Yeah. And you can use this community in many, many ways. You can get content of members within the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what a community does for brands in 2025 and onwards, if you showcase this exclusive community within your marketing, gives massive FOMO for everyone who's not in the community but wants to be in. All right, how can I enter? Well, it's pay to play. You have to pay to be part of this community by purchasing product. So you're going to drive urgency through FOMO, fear of missing out. And then once you have this community, builds cash flow. Also, easy way to speak to your customers to find out how you can improve the business.
Exactly, all the things that we've just been speaking
Everything
about.
links. So, I mean, in terms of this community, someone has a great brand and they're looking to introduce this. Let's say hiking, for example. Mm-hmm. What actionable steps can brand owners take to start this community? Would you run it on Discord, for example? Telegram? There's lots of different routes. How would you start this community and how would you actually get people involved in it?
It really depends on the audience age.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say you're in the niche of something like gaming. That would go straight on Discord. And if it's a product for younger people, that would go straight on Discord. Now, if it is a product for people in their 30s, mid 40s, 50s, you might want to look at something like school. But anything, kind of around that age and above, you want to be going with Facebook groups. And Facebook groups are super easy to set up. They're not, in my opinion, as interactive as something like school and Discord, but it really just depends on the age of your audience. And maybe, again, like we spoke about, I would go ahead and say, hey, we're looking to launch a free community. Fill out this survey. You can win a product for free. And I just want you to help us build a community in the right place for you. But Discord, school, Facebook, all three of them, absolutely golden.
Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you derived an absolute ton of value from this video. And if you would like to learn more, you can check the link in the description. We are accepting some very, very exclusive positions into our private Wise Gentleman inner circle where you can scale your business and make lots of money. Josh is an absolute titan, and the main man, Phil, is a machine.